Guys, this is Lord Chael speaking on behalf of our show sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. They allow you to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady. Established Titles is not just about your ego, you also get to do some good. In addition to your new fancy title, Established Titles supports global charities, like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, to help with their afforestation efforts. Your title pack gives you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Scotland. And your official certificate proves your title, as well as your unique plot number, where you can see the exact location of your land. Getting the certificate even allows you to officially change your name to Lord or Lady. Put it on your credit cards, your plane tickets, or even your dating profiles. Established Titles is currently having an extended New Year sale just for you guys. And on top of that, you can get an additional 10% off any purchase you make with discount code CHAEL. So click on the link below or go to establishedtitles.com/Chael. Use the promo code CHAEL to save an extra 10% today. Charles Oliveira was doing an interview and he made a very interesting topic. It had very little to do with the interview, but of everything he said, this is what stood out for me the most. He was talking about if he had the chance. He was very clear to say this. If he had the chance to go straight in for a championship, that he would leave 155 and go down to 145. He then said, as a matter of fact, if I was guaranteed a championship opportunity, I would even go up to 170. I believe going down to 145 is more viable than going up to 170. Okay. Hold the thought, but stop right there because that's very interesting. I cannot begrudge him in the least. Anybody that's competitive and wants as much hardware and as much accomplishments as they could possibly get in the time that they can get it, I fully respect that. I love it. It surprised me to hear from Oliveira for a couple of reasons. First off, 145 is a tough cut for him. 145 was always a tough cut. And once you leave something to ever return, it's very difficult, right? I mean, a number of things that don't happen to us as human beings, but one of them is us getting smaller over time. Sadly, that's just not how it works. He wants to torture himself and go down to 145. No disagreement here. And then he made the same comment on 170. And I only bring that to you because that phenomenon will never seem to go away. The phenomenon that if I can do good at 170, I can do better at 155, that means I need to be at 145. Like that mentality never goes away. But we see history prove it false every single time it gets tested. It has never passed the test. We've seen it work in reverse where you go up a weight, you go to a bigger weight, and we've seen positive results. Every time this has ever been tested, it has only worked in one direction, which is going bigger. Conor, by example, 45-pound champion, moves up to 55, becomes a 55-pound champion. George St. Pierre, by example, 170-pound champion, moves up to 85, becomes the champion. Amanda Nunes, by example, 35-pound champion, moves up to 45, becomes, I mean, it's one of these things, but anytime that we ever see it in reverse, and the only example I can think of off the top of my head is TJ Dillashaw, but when TJ was the 35-pound champion, went down to 25, was done less than 18 seconds later. Just because TJ stubbed his toe, I get that for a focus group, if I'm trying to prove a point, I'm going to need to offer you more evidence than that. But you can't offer me any. This was off the top of my head. You will have no examples where that ever works out. You could go over to boxing. You could go to wrestling. You could go to karate, taekwondo, judo. You can search the world over. You're not going to find an example where it works. The lighter guys are better every single time. It is a misconception that size is an advantage. It is a disadvantage. What you have to put your body through to get down there. I can tell you wrestling examples from the time I was 9 years old to the time I stopped wrestling at 23 years old. It never works in reverse. The stress that you put on your body, everybody has a number. Whatever your number is, but everybody has a number. And you'll spend a large part of your time trying to find that weight class. Now, Charles Oliveira is not in that same spot where he's desperate. He's clinging to something. He's trying to keep something going, so he changes weight class. He's not in that spot at all. He's just making a comment that he would go out and collect hardware. I fully respect it. I'm just sharing for you. It is a very interesting concept. Not all titles are created the same. And when I tell you an example that bigger is easier, for sure. Amanda Nunes is still the champion of the world, but she's the champion of the higher weight class, not the lower one. If she was ever going to lose one, it was going to be the lower one because it's tougher. Always. It is a misconception that all started on a playground where some guy's kid got his ass kicked, and when he had to go to work the next day to explain to his buddies why Junior came in second, he could say, well, the kid was bigger. There was even a time where the kid was older, and that was a real thing. But as soon as you become adults in the world of professional fighting, we look at youth as an advantage. I don't know where that tipping point is. I'm just speaking to an absolute misconception. And when I talk about not all titles are created the same, the title that Charles Oliveira holds is the most coveted title. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be the marquee. The lights heavyweights have always controlled that. The heavyweights have always controlled that in combat. But if you want to go talk to the locker room, you want to talk to Oliveira's peers, you could get them all together, including the sitting champions. Everybody will point to one division as the deepest and hardest division, and that is 155 pounds, where Oliveira is king. That is relevant because you have many guys that went out and became champ. As soon as that became an opportunity, guys started doing it. If Henry, just by example, becomes champ, some people believe that Chimaev could be a champ. Wherever that goes, I think we can agree that it's going to happen someday. That person doesn't win the greatest of all time argument. Not just on that. Not just that they had more medals and more trophies and more belts than the other guy. Because all divisions aren't created the same. Just by example, you look at Khabib. Khabib was dead set. I'm staying at 155. I'm not going up. 170 could be an opportunity. I'm not doing it. This is my weight class. However, the weight class that Khabib picked happened to be the absolute hardest weight class. That's why it's different for him. That's why he doesn't have to have two belts. If you have one belt, but it's in the deepest weight that the sport has or that the sport has ever seen, it's enough. So where does Charles go? That's completely up to Charles. And by, again, in all fairness to this interview and these comments that Charles made, that isn't even what he was there to discuss. But it's what my takeaway was. I was very surprised by that piece of his mindset. Because I think that mindset represents that Charles doesn't agree with me. I'm not sure that Charles Oliveira is quite aware of how difficult the mountain he sits atop of is. I'm not sure Charles Oliveira knows that we all look at 155 as the hardest and most depth iron on top of iron weight class in the sport. I'm not sure he knows that. If he did, I think that he would have more of the mentality of Khabib, which is I'll stay right here and I'll take on all comers, but this is my territory. I don't know that he would even be looking to leave. And it's an interesting concept. I appreciated that Charles said it. I appreciate the reporter got this out of him. I appreciate that Charles let us into it. Because I see a lot of guys that don't know how good they are. I really do. I truly do not believe Francis Ngannou has the slightest idea that every male alive looks up to him. I don't think he knows that. I think he's a desperate young kid with insecurity in his heart that's just trying to grab on and cling to what's his. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just sharing with you. There's no arrogance there. Very hard for you to look at Francis Ngannou, look at the way he operates, and then call him arrogant. Can we agree on that? And there's no way that we can call Oliveira arrogant. Not after this statement. Not after he said what a true competitor he is in his heart, that he is willing to walk away and go try something new, up a weight or down a weight, if he can be guaranteed the same spot, which is a title opportunity. Well, the champion of the world ought to get a title opportunity. I think we can all see that. Stay right where he is. He got the damn title opportunity. But it is amazing that guys haven't caught up, right? Everybody has a number. And I've talked to you guys about that before. Daniel Cormier has a number. Daniel would like his number to be 205 pounds. Daniel's just wrong. Daniel was awesome at 205. It wasn't his number. Daniel right around just south of that 250 mark is when he is his most dangerous. Daniel has never lost a wrestling match. You guys aware of that? He has never lost a wrestling match at heavyweight. Daniel had never lost a round at heavyweight. Daniel has only lost to one person in the world at heavyweight, and that guy's got the same name, Stipe Miocic times 2. I only submit that for you because Daniel had a number, and his number was about 245, 247. He wanted it to be 205 pounds. He found success there, so how's he ever going to listen to me? But I'm telling you, he's a different animal when he was bigger. Charles Oliveira is the same spot. I don't know what his number is. I don't know. I know Daniel firsthand. I felt him at 205. I felt him at heavyweight. His attitude, his balance, his strength, his explosive, everything was different when he was a little bit higher up. Is Oliveira's number 155. I mean, he's the champion of the hardest division. It would seem yes, but maybe his best work is still out there. I don't think we're ever going to test this. I don't think Oliveira is going to leave. But I do think that Oliveira led us into a little bit of his mindset. And in all fairness, he showed us the competitor that he is. And he also showed us some real humility. I'm not sure the guy that's got the strap in the hardest division needs to do anything different, but Oliveira doesn't fully agree, at least not according to this interview.